Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to the greatest show on earth. It is the Porsche Cup Sprint Series brought to you by Simu Nation, in part with, of course, NOX Gaming. Simu Nation's GT3 Championship is powered by NOX Gaming. Shop for major sim racing brands including SimMagic, Moza, SimNet, Six Sigma, and Conspit. NOX Gaming also offers PC building services for a guaranteed premium experience throughout Canada, as well as Wolf Sim Racing. Need that extra edge on track? Wolf Sim Racing builds the high-end gear that makes the difference. Precision engineered dashboards and mods designed for ultimate performance. Don't just play the game, live it. Visit Wolf Sim Racing today and see why top drivers are making the switch. Wolf Sim Racing, engineered for the podium. And as you've had a look already, we have found our way into Mexico City for the first round of the Sprint Series here for the Porsche Cup car. And it's going to be a great, great race here today. Very excited for this season. A lot of fantastic drivers have made their way onto the track for tonight's event. They're just closing out the practice session. We'll get a look at Mexico City, 17 corners, 2.76 miles in length. And it is a very fast track. 3 sectors dividing up here. It'll be roughly in the 1 minute 40-second range on our lap times here. We'll take a look at our schedule into the future as well. Every other week here on Thursday afternoons. Of course, 40 minutes in length for our races here, 40 miles per hour on the pit road speed limiter. Tire sets are available, but uncommon in a sprint series. Local yellows only, of course, in our road course racing. And iRacing open setups for our drivers here to modify this car to their liking and get the best out of what they can. My name is Logan Threlkeld. I'll be joined tonight by Scott Shive as our co-host and Sagar Bakshi as our producer, running the cameras and everything that you see on the screen. Scott, how are you doing today, my friend?
Well, I am doing very well, Logan. I'm glad to be back with you, and I'm glad to be here for a Porsche Cup Sprint Series season. I'm with you for Mexico, and who knows what's going to be in the future, but I'm glad to be here for race number 1, Mexico City, the Autódromo. A great place to be racing, a fun place to be racing. You said 2.76 miles around this place, 17 turns, and these drivers, they've already had a lot of fun in practice, but practice is only where it begins.
But practice is where you fine-tune those last-minute adjustments on the setup for the course. Of course, I just mentioned the 3 sectors here that we have today. Sector 1, of course, starting from the start-finish line, working its way all the way down to the entry of Turn 4. Sector 2 from Turn 4 till about the mid-length portion between Turn 11 and Turn 12. Sector 3 will take us from the entry of Turn 12 back to the start-finish line. We'll keep you updated on some times as we work through, but practice is now coming to a close. We have 20 minutes of a qualifying session. We'll bring coverage to you here on that in just a moment as these drivers get ready to go and see what is going to happen to fill out our field. 32 drivers that will be attempting this course today. So it could be mayhem, or it could be the best race that you've ever seen on iRacing. We are soon going to find out, as we've got drivers making their way out onto the track now.
You know, Logan, you mentioned the different sectors, and the sector that is going to be the most technical of them all, coincidentally enough, is the shortest sector of them all, sector number 3 from turns 12 to 17 right through the stadium section. It's where these drivers will have to be the most technical. Right now, they're in Sector 1 in the opening 3 turns of the course, and then down what I would call the back straightaway for them, because I wouldn't call the S's the back straightaway, but this little short shoot down into turn number 4. It's where they'll be running, and it's where they'll be trying to heat up their tires as they get ready for this qualifying run, because we are qualifying right now. These drivers looking fastest times in practice were in the 141s. Some drivers all the way down to the 146s, but many of those drivers will be shooting for those 140s.
And it's a beautiful day here in Mexico City. A cool 70 degrees ambient air temperature, 92 degrees on the track surface, of course, in Fahrenheit. Partly cloudy out there as well. That will only help the grip levels of these cars. And the newest version of the Porsche 911 Cup car, the 992.2, released last season. Drivers here looking to fully adjust to that remodeled Porsche Cup car. So we're taking a look right now. The first driver out onto the field, the 63 of Simon Seguin, working out of turn 17 now. Let's see.
It's a long run. It's a long run down this French straightaway, over a mile. And it's where the speed trap is for Formula One. But this is the Porsche Cup, trying to pick up as much speed as they can, nearly 100 miles an hour down the straightaway, down into turn one. We spoke of the technicality. It truly begins, whoa, you're going to have to avoid some traffic there. That might mess up your lap a little bit, but you're going to have to stay in it. As well, you can see these drivers taping full force of the curbs. It really can easily mess up a lap.
Very easily indeed, is on board now with Simon. Have a look at how we're navigating these corners. The cold tires still at play as well. So it'll be a lap or two before we start seeing those extremely fast lap times that we'll see throughout the race. And open qualifying always poses that issue of the traffic. You never know when somebody's going to be coming out of the pits and potentially right into your driving line at times on much colder tires. A lot of courtesy will be at play to avoid those situations.
As a driver, you really want to hope that other drivers are watching out for you. At this point, everyone's trying to go for hot laps. The biggest reference I have for this is Formula One for myself, of what I'm able to watch. And at that point, drivers go for a lap or two and then they're done. But these drivers in the Porsche Cup, they can go for as many laps as they want. Now, we'll probably see drivers come back in every couple laps, get some fresh tires, warm them up, and the cycle continues. But with 32 drivers, there is going to be no point where there is not drivers on track, and so you're going to have to do some management. And as well, when you're on a lap, maybe you know that you're not absolutely going for it. You might have to watch out for others and maybe give them the leeway. Or Logan, maybe you don't. Maybe you, not purposefully, but maybe you do kind of hold up the line.
I feel like that would be very frowned upon in most cases, especially just being the qualifying session. Once we get to the race, expect to see the battle intensify, and those blocking lines, they're going to be at play quite a bit more. Simon has completed the first lap of his attempt at the fastest lap for qualifying, falling right now in the 4th position on the grid. Fastest lap going to the number 91 of Alex Vince with a 141.559 the first time around. Anthony Landry had a quick lap of 141.577 as well, so right on the heels of Vince.
The driver right behind, that is Francis Fortin. Francis still has yet to put a lap down. This is the first lap that the driver is going for it, and again, we'll see that all qualifying long. Oh, there we go, car off the pace. That's something you got to avoid. Wow, Simon Seguin spins in front, and that was close, but now we're up with Alex Vince, who currently has the fastest time, a 141.559, as you stated earlier, Logan. So Alex trying to go for another quick lap. This is what we were talking about. Sector 3, the most technical sector, and it is wild through that stadium section. It's weird to see the stadium section without the stadium.
It is a very interesting look here, but we'll get used to it as time goes on. 5 minutes now completed in the qualifying session. Still plenty of time for these drivers to make those last-second adjustments here. If the practice session just wasn't enough to get the fine adjustments in, you still have some time here. It just will cost you a lap or two of warming up those tires once again. It looks like Vince has been dethroned. Anthony Landry back up on top of the top step of the podium for the timing and scoring with a 140.965. The first driver into the 140s.
First driver in qualifying and in practice. We did not see any driver get to that time in the 140s now. Although it be probably unlikely, could any driver maybe break into the 139s? I think drivers might just be looking to get into the 140s and know that they're fine. But right now, the spread through qualifying of actual laps, it is about 6 seconds from 20th all the way to first. There are still drivers that have yet to put down laps, and we still have 13 minutes to go. So not every driver taking a hold of all of this time, Logan. Maybe some feeling that they just want to go out and put down one lap. Maybe they're thinking the session the track might improve as we go on, whether it be with the heat or whether it be with rubber being put down. They might think, I'm going to go put down some laps later, not now.
One thing that I'll be very interested to kind of not necessarily focus on throughout the course of the race, but I do have a few seasons of the Porsche GT3 car underneath my belt, and I'm curious if the Cup cars, drive any similar at all. I know the GT3 car is very prone to a lazy rear end slide. I haven't seen any of these drivers have to suffer the fate of that rear end slide just yet. But as we get through the 40-minute period of racing and those rear tires start to wear out, it is a higher possibility. I'll have to keep an eye on that. And I don't know if there are any similar at all.
Well, Logan, I'm right with you. And because I am a little bit more versed in the Porsche GT4. So, and what I know about that car, very rigid, and these sports cars, they are just very difficult to drive. At least a guy from a stock car world, it's very difficult to feel the edge of these cars. I mean, it feels like nothing really flexes for you. You see a car off the pace as we're riding along with Francis Fortin, who currently is looking for some faster times, a 146.63, his best as of this moment. But yeah, these are difficult. It feels like when you get to the edge, you can step over it immediately, and there is no saving it.
I tell you what, the edge is very, very fine between Landry and Vince, separated by only 1/1000th of a second last time around for Vince. A 140.966 on the 91 machine. You're looking to pick up just a few more thousandths to take that top step, take the number one spot on the grid to start this race. Because I tell you what, Scott, it is going to be a hair scramble down into turn one once we take the green flag.
It will, and I'm wondering what that will look like for us, but we will cross that bridge when we get to it. This is Brett Swift in the 996, currently 23rd of 26 drivers that have put down times to qualify. It's a 143.601 for Brett Swift. So it looks like you got to get up. And most of our drivers, I mean, the top 15 are out inside of the 42-second mark. Any driver outside of the top 15 is outside of the 143 mark. So a lot of these drivers fighting right now between 16th and about 23rd really would like to crack into the 142 mark at least, or maybe into the top 10s, which is low 142s and high 141s.
Just ahead of Brett Swift there, we have Johan Morency in the 194 machine. Just now getting the first lap on the timing and scoring, comes around with a 144.267. That'll be placed currently in the 27th starting position. Will certainly be looking to improve. No other driver has been able to make it up into the 140 bracket besides Landry and Vince. Patrick Archambault in the 141.290, taking up the third spot. So still some work to do. A lot of these drivers have the potential to make it down into the 140s. It's really going to come down to luck and timing with the traffic that's currently on the track. As we take a look at Johan Morency's current lap.
Yeah, Morency, really no traffic ahead, pretty much free road. And so all this room to work with for Morency, you can see on your left hand of your screen, a little bit of telemetry, miles per hour, as well as RPMs and the gear that they are running in. This is we talked about technicality, and it's probably a word I'm going to use a lot this evening. This is through the S's, turns 11 all the way through turn 12, and now approaching turn 13. This is a heavy braking section. I imagine this will be a big passing zone this evening, one of the most steady corners in to maybe make a late dive and rotate into the corner as you enter turn 14 now and 15, 16 through the stadium section. And so I imagine turn 13, Logan, will be a passing zone tonight, but it's very important that you not lock up your brakes. I think it can be very easy to do that, and you're going to want to keep those front tires on you because while you do have unlimited tires in the pits, you're probably not going to because you can stay out for fuel the entire time. Johan Morency, that last time by, just a couple of tenths slower than his best lap, so no improvement from the 194, currently remains 28th.
And just as important as the braking zone into turn 13 will be on the opposite end of that run, the exit of turn 10, working through turn 11 and turn 12. It's going to be imperative for these drivers to maximize the speed through that corner and on the exit if you really want to have a chance. Obviously, you want to take advantage of passing opportunities more so on the straightaways. That is your safest bet to get around the car that you're battling. Obviously, these drivers will have to push the envelope a little bit further as the competition throughout this field is very, very high. Taking a look now at the 116, currently placed in P11 with a 142.468 at the moment, only about 2/100ths off of a second away from the driver ahead.
Yeah, Max Mazonoff currently 11th on the scoring chart with just under 7 minutes now left in this qualifying session. He is chasing Kevin Lord on the timing charts, not the driver out in front of him. The driver in front of Mazonoff right now, as you mentioned, is Jalel Parent. Excuse me. Me and Logan were talking about we're going to have to get into our French minds back from high school. And a lot of French-Canadian drivers this evening in the Simu Nation Porsche Cup Sprint Series. And so Logan will be working on that all season, and I'll be working on it tonight, and if I get to join us for any other races this evening. But Mazonoff currently in 11th still with a 142.278, just 3/10 slower than 10th place Kevin Lord.
I tell you what, Scott, it's been some years since I've sat behind the desk in a French class, and I have to say, coming into this, I felt a lot more confident, but now as I try, there's that lazy rear end slide that I just mentioned here. But yeah, the confidence level as we get into the action will either substantially decrease or it will go through the roof as the action gets started. And that's what we're really looking forward to here. This is going to be a very exciting race, a very exciting season as a whole. Very happy to be a part of it here, thanks to Simu Nation.
By the way, that lazy spin, that was Patrick Archambault in the 124, who was one of the fastest in practice, and he's currently 4th fastest in this qualifying session. So Patrick Archambault, a driver to be looking for tonight, could possibly be in the fight for this win. And while we were talking about that, we do have a new fastest time qualifier. It is Phil Bouchard with a 140.943, just under at 22 thousandths faster than Anthony Landry, who held the fastest time beforehand. So Phil Bouchard, who was fastest in practice, is currently fast in qualifying now with only under 5 minutes.
And Bouchard, a spectacular driver in these Porsche Cup cars, a former Porsche Cup Canada champion, gracing the field here today in that 73 machine. So keep an eye on Phil Bouchard, as he will be a top contender here tonight and likely throughout the season. But the competition will be right there. 2/100ths of a second is nothing whenever you think about, slightly braking a little later than the driver in front of you. It can close that gap in a matter of a blink of an eye, Scott, and it's going to be very, very interesting as we have another lazy rear end slide just behind this.
Jesse Mosley in the number 8 machine. Currently 8th fastest for the number 8.
drivers really starting to pick up the pace, and you can take notice of where they're really exceeding the envelope. Maybe still on some colder tires if they've elected to bring it back down pit road, get a fresh start on a new lap. It's very difficult to catch that rear end slide, at least in the GT3 car. So I'd imagine it wouldn't be much different at all here.
Currently, this is the 312 of Arnaud Genest, currently 7th, ahead of Jesse Mosley, who we saw went for that spin entering turn number 17. But Genest looking for a little bit faster lap that time by, and he won't have it off track limits. And so that lap will not count for the 312 of Arnaud Genest. But still, 7th fastest. That's going to put you in a good spot for the standing start, because we will have a standing start this evening when we come to the beginning of this race. That's what Logan was referring to when he mentioned that land rush down into turn 1 that we'll have.
Expect to see 3, possibly even 4 wide as we dive down into turn 1 after the green flag. Now under 3 minutes remaining in the qualifying session. Our drivers will be able to complete about 2 more laps. I doubt they would have enough time to get a third in. It all depends on how the session is set up, if it will allow them to take 1 more lap after the virtual checkered flag on the qualifying session waves.
Logan, I don't know if anybody, I was going to say, I don't know if anybody's going to beat Gennard.
Yeah, Bouchard is still holding on to that top spot. In fact, making that gap even a little bit bigger here with a 140.898 last time around. Landry still in the 140.965. Vince still 1/1000th of a second behind. Archambault now 2 1/1000ths of a second behind. So that top 3, top 4, all separated by just a couple 100ths of a second.
Well, and Landry just passed over start-finish line a couple seconds ago. He's already through turns 1, 2, and 3 now, so he will have time for another lap to maybe go ahead of Phil Bouchard. There might still be time as we look along with him, going through turns 5 and 6 now. A very nice right-hand turn for him, very smooth, got to stay within track limits. You do not want your lap to get deleted, but this is Landry's last chance if he wants to go and beat the likes of Phil Bouchard for pole position.
Currently sitting at a half-second deficit to his fastest lap time. A small bobble there is only going to increase that deficit, now up to 0.9 seconds off of his fastest lap time so far. Landry
he's gonna
not in the
late
best
here.
Position to get this lap taken away from Bouchard.
You can absolutely bet, Logan, though, that he's going to give it everything wide there in turn 14. On the curbs in through 15 and 16, now into the final corner of 17. Can Landry do it? Can he take Phil Bouchard off the board? I don't know if he's going to be able to. It was a couple bobbles throughout the lap, and no, it is about 2 seconds slower. So Landry did not have the last lap that he needed, and under 20 seconds now left on the qualifying timing charts. And I don't know if anybody was going to do it, it was going to be Landry. So it could be Phil Bouchard. In just 10 seconds will be named the pole position qualifier from the Porsche Cup in the Simu Nation Sprint Series for Race 1.
Fantastic showing from the 73. All of our drivers out here, having 4 drivers into the 142nd bracket. And it looks like we will have time for another completed lap here. An additional 2.5 minutes on the board.
Oh, there we go.
For these drivers to finish up. So we've got one more attempt at it. Archambault also on a great lap right now, staying even with his fastest lap so far. Of course, the 140.968.
This is not ideal for David Laremu right behind him. I know I butchered that name. Excuse me, and I apologize. He's right behind on the heels of Archambault. Currently 6th fastest. Archambault currently 4th fastest. So David not in a great position right here. If there's any mistake or slow from Archambault in front, it will affect his time as well. But through the S as they go, 2 cars in tandem.
Nearly identical paint schemes as well. Have to think they might be working together as teammates here, giving a little bit of a tow to David The 25 goes around before we enter the final sector. About 4/10 of a second off of the fastest lap time as we work into turn 17. 25 out of 17, back across the start-finish line here momentarily. A 141.420 on the board.
Oh.
And
it is
drops
faster.
it down to a 141.103, claiming one more spot and taking up the P5 position on our grid.
Top 5, bumping Tommy Borque down into 6th spot out of that top 5. Borque. We'll see. We'll figure that one out. But great time there for David Lamoureux to get into the top 5. And I think most drivers are off track now, and I think they are. The session looks to be ending as of this moment, so it will be Phil Bouchard on pole for this first race in Mexico City. It's a quiet track.
Remain. Yeah, very, very quiet out here on the track.
I don't think we'll have that for the rest of the night, Logan.
It certainly will not until that checkered flag waves, and even beyond then, once we have our time with our top 3 finishers, have our interviews with them. But only 10 seconds remaining until we take the race session here. Immediately, we'll get right into our grid, find out where your favorite driver will be starting today. Again, 32 cars on the field, standing start. We'll have to try to get through it as quickly as possible here. They'll be ready to take that green flag just as soon as possible. And of course, we already talked about it, but in the pole position, the 73 of Phil Bouchard will be starting out next to the 39 of Anthony Landry on the front row here today in Mexico City. In row number 2, Alex Vince in the 91 will start out next to the 124 of Patrick Archambault. In 5th, the 25 of David Lamoureux next to Tommy Baroque in the 28 in P6. In 7th, the 312 of Arnaud Genest next to the 8 of Jesse Mosley. In P9, the 774 of Kevin Norris next to the 125 of Kevin Lord in P10.
Back behind them, row number 6 for Mathieu Prudhomme and Simon Seguin. Back behind alongside of him, 13th, the 116 of Max Maisonneuve and the 87 of Frank Richard. Then in 15th, it'll be Pierre Laporte as well as Diemve Galondo. 17th for Benjamin McLaughlin, 18th for Matt Donahue. 19th and 20th for Dominic Cretu, as well as Jala Parent.
In the 21st position, the 23 of Francis Fortin, next to the 734 of Francis Threlfall. In 23rd, Olivier Longdoc, I apologize, in the 35, taking up 23rd, next to the 34 of Valentin Ozenganov. In 25th, the 203 of Guillaume Boyer, next to the 996 of Brett Swift in 26th. In 27th, the 13 of Cameron Lackney, next to the 127 of Jean Lessard. In 29th, the 345 of Sebastian Deloge, next to the 194 of Johan Morency. In 31st, Jaume Garbonneau, next to the 83 of Julien Pouchette. And we are ready to take the green at Mexico City. Away we go to start the series. Bouchard with a great jump and will lead this whole entire field down the long length of the front stretch into turn 1. A quick look to the outside from the 39 of Anthony Landry. But sticking to the inside is Bouchard, and will hold on to that position through the first 3 corners here. Single file out behind.
It was heavy on the brakes for Archambault, was nearly in the rear of Alex Vince in the 91, but everybody clean through turns 1 through 3. None of that chaos we have thought that it might have been yet, but now side-by-side battle currently between Patrick Archambault and Tommy Bourque. Archambault will move back into 4th where he started.
Just behind them, ready to take advantage of any small mistake, Kevin Norris. Arnaud Genest as well in the 312. Just a little bit further behind. That 28 of Baroque all over that rear spoiler of Arsene Bolton, the 124. Getting out way ahead now is Phil Bouchard, already putting 0.4 of a second lead over Anthony Landry. Looking to get away from this field and stay safe from any sort of danger, any sort of dive bomb. A lot of weaving back and forth, looking for an opening at any given moment. As we're coming around through Sector 3 now. We'll be looking to see what our drivers are putting down for the first lap of the session. Phil Bouchard in control of the field. The 144.164 off of the standing start.
So we'll see those times ramp up this next lap, next time by, as they are fully up to speed. Down the front straightaway, you can see it. Everybody driving in line, making sure they get that draft, get the toe, and look at Anthony Landry really closes in all the way down that front straightaway, and they are following like two cars connected by a train hook. Can Landry maybe overtake? Will he pick a moment to overtake? We've got 40 total minutes in this race, possibly 26 to 27 total laps. But you're going to race until that clock hits zero, until you get that white flag. But Landry already very close right behind Phil Bouchard, as well as a lot of these drivers, 5th, 6th, and 7th, and 8th. They are all connected very closely together, all in a line. This intersection in Sector 2 has really closed everyone together. Now the S's was where everyone starts to really spread out, Logan.
And one thing I'm noticing about Landry versus Bouchard is the willingness to cut the curbing a little bit more. We're seeing a lot more bounce coming out of the 39, hitting those curbs a little bit harder. You have to wonder just how far out the track limits will leave racing space available for these drivers. It is a battle throughout the mid portion of the field. Nobody has really solidified a position just yet. Multiple drivers separated by only 0.2 of a second. Pierre Laporte makes a fantastic move around Simon Seguin up to P17 after falling back a couple positions here. Started 15th in the 662. And now leading this group of Seguin, Boyer, Ozeganov, and Perron.
Yeah, Boyer right behind them. It looks like we've got some damage for Simon Seguin. Yes, you can see it on that left rear panel. There's damage for him, so maybe in that battle between him and Laporte, there was a little bit extracurricular contact, and hard on the brakes, and whoa, into the rear. That's going to be Boyer into the rear of Seguin, but they keep it together and keep it straight. You see Boyer have to pull out a line in that purple car right there behind. That is the 203 for Boyer, but wow, that was a close moment down into turn one.
A great job by Seguin to keep his composure at a controllable level after having contact from the rear. Did not send it through the corner. So hats off to both of those drivers. That could have been way worse than what it was. Back up just ahead of them. The battle between three here. Francis Fortin leads this three-car battle of Kevin Lord and Davin Galindo in the 324, bringing up the rear. Just behind them is Pierre Laporte, starting to close that gap up just a little bit. At the moment, 1 second behind Galindo. The battle up towards the front has not yet subsided. Arnaud Genest, Caven Morris, David Lemereau, and Jesse Mosley in a four-car battle for what would be the 6th position.
And look at the battle for the lead. Like you said, it is absolutely still on. Everything that Bouchard gains through sectors 2 and 3, he loses all in sector 1. You can see the draft and the toe for the 39 of Landry as he looks to the outside of Bouchard that time into turn 1, gives it up into 2 and out of 3 now. Important to keep a good run down here, down this back straightaway heading into turn 4. But you saw the importance of the draft and of the toe all the way from turn 17 down to turn 1. Landry can make up everything he loses here through 2 and 3.
That's what's going to take to become victorious here in Mexico City. Apply the pressure as much as possible. You don't have to force the pass. Just fill up that rear view mirror of the driver ahead of you. Force them to make a mistake. Of course, Phil Bouchard, a fantastic driver, as previously noted. it's going to be hard to force a mistake out of the 73. So you really just have to play that game of where am I going to go and be completely unpredictable, to say the least.
Also, I mean, I don't know if either of us know the answer, but is there any disadvantage here to Landry to be riding so close to Bouchard all these laps? And I've got to wonder if there's any sort of overheating of the tires or if there's any aero deficiency. Just what is there any effect for Landry riding so close to Bouchard lap after lap after lap?
Well, this is just about the closest that Landry has been to Bouchard out of turn 17, taking it back a little bit further in the field. Genest has an opportunity to get around Tommy Baroque. All over the back bumper here as we make our way down the front stretch. Will we take a peek to the inside? Will Baroque take a defensive line down into turn 1? Here's the look to the outside for Genest, side by side. Who will be the later breaker here? With the advantage to the inside, Genest makes the move, almost opens up the door, gets the nose into the left rear, back across the track. A little bit more contact there. Genest will fall out of the top 10 as he tries to regain his spot on the track surface.
He's got race-ending damage.
Oh, man. That did not look like it was hard enough to end the race, but that will be our first retirement. I apologize. The 166, Matthew Prudhomme, he is also already exited the track with a meatball flag. Genest joins him in pit lane.
Genest, really, to me, it looked like didn't leave the space for Baroque.
Donahue also has issues in the mid-pack. The 10 got spun around, let about 4 or 5 cars get by there. Falls back to the 18th position, but has some breathing room ahead of the 34. But a lot of work to do to get back up through the field where he just came out of. Started 18th, though, so holding on to the position that he started.
Yeah, it looked like for me, for the Arnaud Genest, that was just wasn't leaving enough space for Baroque. Baroque was able to hang on the outside and had the corner down into turn 2, and just was not enough room given for the both of them to enter in there side by side. And it looked like the car was skewed out to the left when Genest came off of the grass, and it was enough to end his day. So already 3 retirements now so far, and you mentioned the issues for Creteau in the 69 car, currently 29th, last car on the lead lap. This battle here between the 774, this is Caven Norris, currently in 5th spot, and that is Lamoureux looking to the inside now this time, down the back straightaway. Lamoureux has been absolutely stalking at the rear bumper of Caven Norris.
And Landry gets the lead away from Bouchard at the front of the field. Sorry to cut you off there, Scott. But what a move coming from the 39. Got to the inside of Bouchard and now will not look back. He has already put a half second of difference between the 39 machine and the 73. Bouchard will have to battle back for that position. Alex Vince right behind as well, closing up that gap. Patrick Archambault not too far behind as well. Our top 4 separated by about a second and a half right now.
They are all close. How it happened, it was a big dive bomb for Landry on the outside of Bouchard into turn 1. They stayed side by side through 2 and 3, and then down the back straightaway, it was into turn 4 that the 39 got the better run, and Bouchard was pushed out wide, and into turn 5, he assumed the lead, and now Landry will lead his first lap of the day, lap 7, led by the 39 car, and he's looking to be lights out.
First 10 minutes completed so far of the 40-minute sprint. So a lot of time to get back up there. Can't count any of these drivers out of the equation just yet. Again, the top 4, only a second and a half separating them. Then it's about 6 seconds back to David Lamoureux in the 25, running P5. Starting to get some of that separation now throughout the field. But you're still going to have some of those smaller battles that will stick around for just about the entirety of the race. That'll be one thing to focus on as well, bouncing through some of these battles here once we get some more separation throughout the field. Looks like Cayman Lackney has elected to come back out onto the racing surface. That was the other driver that was in pit road with Genest and Prudhomme. Running in the 30th position, currently scored as 2 laps down. But through attrition, you can always regain some of those spots, as the field will come around Lackney at the current moment, taking it just off track to give plenty of room.
It's crazy how close these top 4 became. Alex Vince early on lap about 3 was about 1.5 seconds behind the 2 leaders of Bouchard and Landry at that time, and now they've all closed in. I really think it's the power of this toe down the front straightaway for these cars, able to really close in and eliminate some of those gaps that are gained through sectors 2 and 3. And so, like you said, Logan, this is definitely nowhere near over. We got plenty of time left in this race, and these drivers have plenty of time to make more and more moves and more gains.
And as these drivers stay close to the competition ahead, you can always take little notes of the line that they are using to either gain or lose time on you. Make that adjustment mid-race, and that can very easily work into your favor as long as you stay calm, cool, and collected. A look to the inside here. A little bit further back in the field. Taking a look at Pierre Laporte right now. Up 3 positions, up 5 from the last time that we talked about the 662. Last time we saw him was in 17th, now has worked his way up to P12. 3 positions gained since the drop of the green flag. Taking a look now at Tommy Bork. This will be the battle with Max Masonov.
And there we go.
Sideways. There's that lazy rear end slide that I know all too well.
Baroque was running in 7th position, and now Baroque is going to continue to drop and tumble down the order, looking to rejoin, and he's slow through turns 12 now, trying to get back up to speed, but he's still not done, losing spots and losing position. It looks like he's going to settle into 17th, as it looks like Jalel Parent he's in the middle of 3 wide into the hairpin. This is a dangerous situation for the 28.
This is not where you want to be, especially with the extra heat that's in those rear tires. Holds it together nicely, though. Will fall in behind Matt Donahue. Perron just behind as well after going wide on the track. This is your battle for the 15th position. It looks like just up ahead of them, Laporte is also gaining time on Francis Fortin.
He is. You can see Baroque trying to make those back, some of those positions lost. There was a reason he was running within the top 6 as there's a problem behind, and whoa, Donahue makes a little contact with the outside wall out of turn 3. That is going to allow Ozaganov to get to the inside and around. So it's a drop of position for Jalel Parent, or excuse me, that was Donahue.
Ziganov about 3 seconds behind this battle, but if they keep this battle going the way that it is, will have an opportunity to catch back up and throw his name in the hat for the 15th position. But now it looks like Baroque able to get some sort of separation. Back up at the front of the field, Landry still holds on to the lead over Phil Bouchard. But Bouchard close enough here. We're going to take a look and see just how massive this draft can be. So they work their way down the front stretch towards turn 1. Will Landry take defensive? Bouchard to the inside, holds it close to the right rear. Later on the brakes, side by side into turn 1, set up nicely to the inside for turn 2. Landry able to get back ahead of Bouchard, but not by much. He's got the front tires to the rear axle. The side draft playing a factor in these Porsche Cup cars as well. We're going to be side by side once more. Bouchard with the nose ahead. Over the curbing goes Landry. A little bit of an extra hop there. I think that slowed him up. but a better drive around the outside keeps him side by side to the driver door, and now Bouchard back in control of the lead.
That's exactly what Bouchard needed to do. He needed to stay side by side through turn 4. Then he would have the inside line in 5 and through 6. Now into the S's 7 through 12. They enter turn 8 now. Bouchard has the lead back, but we have seen Landry go through this before and taken away the lead the first time by. So Landry now has to reset as he's back in second position and try to take back this lead from Bouchard, while at the same time, now you got Alex Vince closely on your rear bumper. It's not all about offense. You got to play just a little bit of defense, or at least, Logan, be mindful of the 91 right behind you.
As well as the 124, who could follow the 91 if the gap opens up just a little bit too much. So the 4-car battle for our podium positions is just now starting to really heat up. It's been there the entire time, but we're having change of position just about every lap at this point. All over the back bumper, Bouchard takes the defensive line down into turn 1. Keeps Landry
Here we go
on the outside. Landry set up to the inside for turn 2. Who's going to get the drive off? It looks like it goes in favor of the 39. Some lap traffic just ahead will stay clear of this battle. And we're nearly 2 by 2. Down between turns 3 and 4, hard braking zone, left-hander back to a switchback for turn 5. Contact to the door.
Nearly 2 by 2, like you said. Landry will take it back one lap after it was taken away, and he did it in the exact same style that he did the first time. So Bouchard, now the exact move has been put on him twice. I don't think it'll happen a third time if Bouchard takes back the lead.
Another one of our drivers that did have that meatball flag, Arnaud Genest, has made his way back out into the field. Jean Lessard has elected to take it back to the garage, disconnected from the session. So that will be a position up for Genest. Looks like Prudhomme also finally back out onto the racing surface as well after spending 12 and a half minutes in the pit stall, getting some damage repaired. Landry now putting some distance between himself and P2 of Bouchard. Archambault up to the P3 position. Finally got around Alex Vince. You have to wonder if Vince, Landry, Bouchard, and Archambault have burnt up the tires a little bit. We know that the fuel cell can manage to go to the end of this race. There is no required pit stop. It's only if you want to risk taking fresher tires or if you need to make an adjustment to the car. But very unlikely to see a scheduled pit stop on today's event.
As these four battle it out, they are slowing each other down. 5th place currently in David Lamoureux. He's currently running a 2.5 faster than those others. Just had a change for the 10th position. It's between Francis Fortin and Pierre Laporte. Laporte just going ahead of the number 23 of Francis Fortin. So great job for the 662, who started back in 15th to break inside the top 10 now.
So as we make our way to the halfway point of this race, your top 10 as Landry, Bouchard, Archambault, Vince, Lamoureux, Norris, Mosley, Masonov, Richard, and Laporte. Right at the 20-minute mark here.
It is quite a little pack here inside of the top 10 for Laporte, and the 4 positions outside of it with Galindo, Fortin, Seguin, and Boyer. They have been together for much of the time of this race, and we even saw the contact between Boyer and Seguin earlier into turn 1. And so obviously Seguin has been able to hold the position. That is the red car in your frame. Purple car is Boyer. Then it's Fortin in front. As look at this. Fortin looking to make the move back, and he taps the inside of Galindo. Galindo going to spin around out of turn 13. He drops positions, and he's out.
He's going to continue to lose some positions as well. Makes his way back out on the track as the 191 of Gilles Perrin. Able to get around. But Galindo falls back to the 17th position before regaining speed. I was just about to say as well, Seguin doing a fantastic job despite the damage on that car. holding on to the 12th position here with room to grow. There is an opportunity to work up into the top 10 before this race is said and done, Scott.
Yeah, not sure what aero effect that left rear damage is having for the 63 of Seguin, as there is a big moment for Fortin in front of him. This could open the door down into 4 with a good pull of the draft for Seguin to look for 11th position. I don't think he'll take it. He might need more of a tow down the front straightaway, but you can see that Fortin, being pressured by the 63 of Seguin, could be forced into more mistakes. But here comes Boyer.
Boyer with an opportunity here. Will the door open just enough for the 203? Another battle just behind this one. This will be around the P18 area. McLaughlin, Threlfall, Ziganov, and Brett Swift.
Ziganov started in 24th, currently running in the 20th position, trying to hunt down the 734 of Threlfall and the 910 of McLaughlin. As they are entering turn 13, we see laid on the brakes for Ziganov, but it's not going to be enough. He's going to need to be closer to Threlfall to maybe think about making the move down into 13. Technical through the stadium section. Stay on those curves. Bring it out wide here into 16. And now out through 17, the final corner. You make that run down the front straightaway, and it opens the door for possible moves in turn 1.
Back up to the battle ahead of this one. Seguin has made the move to the inside, up to the 11th position around Francis Fortin. Trying to leave Boyer and Baroque just behind. About 0.8 of a second separating Boyer and Fortin. Fortin all over the back bumper now of Seguin. Seguin defensive on the inside line, nearly pushing Fortin off the track there. An aggressive move coming out of the 23. Wants that position back immediately. That does open up the
Fortin
door for Boyer to get there.
Had a great run down that back straightaway and could have pulled out earlier, but decided to give the bump to Seguin and actually pushed him out a little bit further. So Fortin will try to take the opportunity when it presents itself to maybe take back that 11th position. But this has allowed Laporte, who passed Fortin for the 10th position, to really get away from this 4-car pack. He is now 2.9 seconds ahead of 11th place Seguin. So Laporte, without a mistake of his own, really solidified in that final spot in the top 10. It was too late on the brakes there for Fortin. And now look at this. Tommy Baroque right on his back bumper.
Just a little bit further up the road, I'm keeping my eyes on that 116 of Max Masonov, as he is slowly but surely gaining ground on the 7th place driver of Jesse Mosley. It's hovering anywhere from the 1.5 seconds to about 1 second, coming down about 1/10 per lap or so. Last time around.
410. Too late on the brakes there into turn 1. He will forfeit the 12th position to Tommy Baroque. And look at this. Boyer now looks to the inside. Not going to have a great run out of 3 that time. But Fortin will lose another position from a mistake.
So pushing a little bit too hard at the moment. Have to keep in mind of those tires. And Alex Vince has had an issue. He falls out of that battle for the top 4. David Lamoureux now up into the 4th position, leaving just 3 cars in a heated battle for the race win. The 91 will fall back about 4 positions here, potentially 5 if Frank Richard can get around here. He's got momentum in his corner for the 87 car. And of course, the extra heat in the tires hindering the 91 of Vince. Out of turn 17, back down the front stretch. This will be the time to get a little bit of temperature out of those tires. Keep that wheel straight. No extra movements needed.
Through turn 12, it was for Alex Vince in the 91, and he hopped the curb, and the car just bounced incorrectly, and he spun out in turn 12. As he was making the run towards turn 13, he has recovered now in 8th position. He was in 4th, but so Alex Vince will try to, he's on the back bumper of Max Mazanoff now in the battle for 7th.
Take it back here to a replay of the incident. Does a great job of keeping it off of the wall there on the outside of the corner. Has to wait for an opportunity to rejoin the track safely. Not quite enough of a closed corner there, or closed turning radius to make that turn completely. So that's what hindered the drive back up through the field and lost those 2 extra positions. As we're back on the live shot, the same exact spot where we just saw the incident with the 91. On attack of Max Mazanoff, though. Goes wide once again.
It's a trouble spot. It's a trouble spot for Alex. Nearly the same thing once again. But Vince still closing in on Mazanoff. This is the battle for 7th. Mazanoff been running steadily in 7th for pretty much most of the race, of which, by the way, we have just over 12 minutes remaining. Mazanoff had started back in 13th, tramped up to the 7th position, and has stayed there for pretty much most of this race and is trying to finish it out that way.
We'll see about 5 more laps completed here, maybe 6, depending on when our leader crosses that start-finish line. Looking to be about a 22 to 23 lap event under the 40-minute time regulation. And Vince doing everything he can to regain some ground, keeping the pressure applied to the 116. Mazanoff will not want to give away this spot, up 6 positions from where he started in 13th up to 7th right now. A great drive for him so far. The only other driver that's really gained more positions than that is the 203 of Boyer, up 11 from 25th to 14th currently. So a lot of big movers throughout the field, rather. A couple drivers that have collected 6 to 8 positions. Looks like Julian Pichette up 9 positions right now as well. When you have 32 cars on the field, Scott, the sky is the limit for how much ground you can collect.
It is, and here we go. Vince, out of turn 12, got a great run that time, makes the dive into 13. Mazanoff, not going to have enough to pull the crossover as he breaks late. Now tries the crossover, but has to check up through 14. So it's 7th place solidified for Alex Vince. That is regarding if he does not make another mistake of his own. And speaking of that, that is the biggest detriment to this sprint format for yourself as a driver, is making your own mistakes.
Back up towards the front, Bouchard is trying to mount the drive back around Anthony Landry. 0.3 of a second separate those 2 drivers. He's staying right there. Patrick Archambault has fallen off of this battle just a touch, but he's in a very safe spot. 7.5 seconds back to P4. So if either one of these drivers make a mistake, Archambault will be right there to collect that position. And if both of those drivers, potentially get into each other, we've already seen the close battle, a little bit of contact to the passenger door on a couple of the passes. So the opportunity will be there for the 124 if he can stay this close to this battle.
Bouchard, earlier, it was about 0.9 of a second he was back of Anthony Landry. So he's been closing in just a couple of tenths by a couple of tenths. Is there enough left in the tank? Not literally, but is there enough for maybe Phil Bouchard to get back in front of Landry? Time is ticking down, now under 10 minutes remain in the race time. I don't know if there's enough, Logan.
The previous lap, Phil Bouchard set his fastest lap of the race at a 140.963. This time by, it was a 141.173, 5/100ths of a second slower than Landry. So it'll be minimizing the small mistakes here if Bouchard wants to reclaim this lead before that checkered flag finally waves. Keep our eye on this battle for a little while. Nobody else as close. As I say that, Longdock in the 35 running P22, inching up to the back bumper, the 910 of Benjamin McLaughlin. And actually will get the move around the outside. It looks like McLaughlin opened up the door and let Longdock by for P21. Francis Threlfall will get around Ozganov as the 34 brings it down pit road here late in this race.
So the 34 of Ozganov making time for a pit stop. Maybe felt that he needed to make some changes, make some corrections with under 8 minutes to go. But look at this. This is Galindo now working on the back of Jalel Parent. This is for the 16th spot, the battle between these two. And a little bit wide there for Parent. So Galindo able to close in little bit by little bit. Now he takes the crossover inside line into turns 5 and 6. And through he will go. So Galindo up into 16th now. Back right where he started.
Looks like maybe a quick fuel stop there for Ozganov.
Interesting.
As well as Dominic Crotu. Also a 7.4 second stop in the box. 8.9 for the 34. It's the battle between Swift and Threlfall. The 996 up one position into P18. So it looks like maybe just a small miscalculation in the fuel cell to start this race, as nobody else has elected to take a pit stop unless it was to fix damage. Ziganov and Crotu, the only two drivers down pit road naturally. Boyer starting to catch up with Francis 410 for P12. In the draft right now as we work our way down the front stretch into turn number 1. Not able to get there and battle for that position into the corner. And a lot more of the jumping over the curbing on the inside of the corner that we're seeing late in this race. These drivers really starting to push the limits of what these cars are capable of. But that will also open the door for smaller mistakes. Losing those tenths of a second at a time can be detrimental when you only have 6 minutes remaining in the race.
Seems like 410 earlier when he was up in 10th position was just holding up some of these cars. Laporte is now 10 seconds ahead of 410, and then it is another 6 seconds ahead for Tommy Baroque. So 410 has been holding up some of the competitors behind him. Once they get out in front of him, we're able to really march away. And Boyer is there through 12. It's been a trouble spot for Alex Vincent. It's a trouble spot that time for Boyer. Nearly hopped the curb in turn 12. Really upset him on the exit. It's going to lose time because of that on his march and attack at the 23 of Francis 410. And Matt Donahue, he is very much still in the picture.
5.5 minutes remaining in the opening race of the Porsche Cup Sprint Series, brought to you by Simu Nation. The battles have been fierce throughout the field, especially at the front of the field, but has since subsided as Landry now 0.6 of a second ahead of Bouchard. Archambault about 2 seconds behind Landry. But all three drivers in a very well-off position to come away with podium finishes here today, as 8 seconds will separate our podium back to P4. Alex Vince on the move once again, trying to attack Jesse Mossely for the 6th position. Donahue trying to catch up to the 203 of Boyer for P13 late in this race. So we have the battle between Mossely and Vince on your screen now. Mossely just ahead. Vince cutting that corner just a little bit more. Picks up quite a bit of time. Nearly a full 1/10 of a second there through that sector. A look to the outside. Setting up for the inside of the next corner. Later on the brakes. Through goes Vince up to P6 for the 91.
That'll probably be the last position Vince can get because it is 11 seconds to Caven Norris. the car next ahead. And so it'll be quite a while before he's able to have more time in this session than he'll have to be able to catch up with Kevin Norris. But Alex Vince will definitely be thinking about that mistake through turn 12 after the night is over.
But you don't want to harp on it too much. You want to be able to focus on the next race at hand 2 weeks from now. Same time, same place here on Simu Nation. It'll be the matter of the mental fortitude that you have to go into week number 2. Be able to rectify your mistakes and not let it hang over your head like a bad storm here as we come into the 3-minute mark remaining in this race. Anthony Landry opening up the door now, almost a full second ahead of Phil Bouchard. And then it's still 2 seconds back to Archambault. And we're coming up on a lot of traffic here.
Yeah, this we thought this battle was over. It very well may not be. Probably just 2 laps left with the time left on the board. But this traffic, Landry is going to have to hopefully navigate out of it right here. Blue flags are in play. So these drivers are mandated to move out of the way of the leaders. But again, you could get caught in a bad section. One will move over. It's now 2 cars left in front of Landry. But if he enters behind them here in turns 1, he could get stuck very easily. Another one pulls out of the way. But he could very easily get stuck. That was Delage in front of Landry. And now it is Pachette. Now to the outside. He needs to let this leader by, but it is slowing him down just a little bit. But Bouchard, he's also as well getting slowed down.
So this is playing in favor of Landry at this moment as he's managed to get around most of this lap traffic. 73 of Bouchard gets to the inside now, so he's cleared the lap traffic, but it took much longer to navigate through those drivers. The timing just not falling in the way of Bouchard to stay competitive here with Landry. Will have to rely on a mistake from the 39 as there is now 1.2 seconds here. Archambault stuck in this traffic, just now gets clear of the 83 machine. So Pachette, Delage, both battling for position. That's one thing that you don't want to do is just pull over and let the drivers go. Obviously, you have to abide by the blue flag rule. Is contact made just ahead of these drivers?
That was good enough.
But if you're battling for position somewhere throughout the field, you don't want to just lay over and end up giving away your spot to the driver you're battling with. White flag is in the air for Anthony Landry. This will be the final time around. Will Bouchard or Archambault have anything in the bag for our current race leader?
Bouchard was pushing so hard out of 17 that time. He actually tapped the wall through 16 and into 17. So Bouchard is giving it everything he has got. There is no traffic in front of Landry now. It is just he is one clean lap away from the win in the opening series, in the opening race, in the opening sprint of the Simu Nation Porsche Cup Series.
Been a very, very solid 40 minutes. An outstanding effort from Anthony Landry, Phil Bouchard, Archambault, even Alex Vince. The recovery effort from the 91 after falling out of the top 4. He gains 2 positions back. Will be upset with that move, but a solid effort to try to regain as much ground as possible. Landry gaining 1 spot from where he started on the night. Bouchard falling 1 spot from where he started. Switch positions there for our front row after the qualifying session into Sector 3 for the final time tonight. The hairpin of turn 13. Landry, just 3 more corners to go through turn 17. The checkered flag is in the air for race number 1. And it goes to the 39 of Anthony Landry. Very, very solid outing coming out of those drivers. A little bit further back through the field, not much battling going on to the checkered flag. Most of our field separated by multiple seconds at this point. The closest battle being between Perrant and Seguin, 4P16. McLaughlin and Longdock battling 4P20. And Francis Threlfall has about a half a second up to Brett Swift.
Jalel Perrant, one of the closest battles on track, the one with Simon Seguin in the 13. Perrant, that was probably his last opportunity, but you never know. Down here into the hairpin, anything can happen. But Jalel up 3 spots from the start after starting in 20th, and it looks like that's where he will end the night.
Threlfall has just a few more opportunities to get around Brett Swift. Down into the final 2 corners here. Coming out through turn 17. Swift will keep that white and black machine just ahead of the 734. McLaughlin and Longdock, the last battle on the field coming out of turn 17. Longdock not able to gain that 1 second of ground. We'll round out here in the 21st position. That will be it for our first race of the season. Getting our podium finishers rounded up here to have a word with them. We hope you enjoyed the show today. Looking forward to more throughout the rest of the season. We're going to start out with our race winner, Anthony Landry, here momentarily once we get everybody into the waiting room for the interviews. Scott Shive, quick thoughts on what's your first Porsche race with me here today?
Yes, I thought it was great. I loved the action throughout the field. The biggest thing I guess I didn't like was having to get these names wrong, and I want to do right by the all these drivers and get their names correct. So I apologize to any of the drivers that I got incorrect today, but I don't think we got any of these top three wrong because they were some of the best at the end of the day.
That they were, and I believe we are ready to go for our interviews, starting out with our race winner, the 39 of Anthony Landry. Anthony, you've got Logan and Scott Shive up here in the V-Speed booth. You have a copy?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, man, what a race you had. The battle with Phil Bouchard never really seemed to subside, and both of you down into the 140s for the qualifying effort, down into the 140s here late in the race. What were some keys to success here for you in that 39 machine once you got around that 73 Bouchard?
I think it was about keep the momentum in those middle sectors. It's about keep the tires cold, not too much understeer at the front to try to keep the pace all around the track. The success right here, it's maybe about many laps. It's not many laps in pickup, but a good average of experience here at Mexico, and that pay off to fight with Phil Bouchard. And I'm pretty happy with it because he's a very fast guys, and I've worked to deserve it, and I'm pretty happy with this result. And I will try to keep follow the same pace in the future race.
Hey, Anthony, Scott Shive here. We saw you take the lead 2 times, and obviously Bouchard had taken it back from you once. We saw you do it the exact same way, taking the outside into turn 1 and then holding him to the outside, getting a great run down and taking it through turns 4 and through turn 5. Was that a calculated move that you knew would work? What was your thought process in the overtake?
I never think it was about work because the inside guys can close the road if we want. We keep it clean because we know each other's, and I respect him for this kind of racing, and will do the same for him. I have never tried the outside at this point because the second corner is pretty hard to keep the pace and try to leave enough space to the third one. But the fight keep follow to the 4 and 5 corners pretty, I think, the 2 times. And it's pretty awesome. Honestly, it was very fun.
It was very fun to watch up here from the booth as well. Anthony Landry, congratulations on your season opening win. Who do you have to say thanks to, or any shout outs to anybody watching at home?
Yes, I will thank my sponsors, about the guys on TNR. The guys will look at the stream for sure to look at it. It's a new broadcaster for us, V-Speed, and thank you to you guys to be there to follow the passion of everyone, and you it's about broadcast, but us it's about racing. And I will shout out my other sponsors, Ultime Débasselage en peinture, Mafo Conseil, Les Douceurs au Palais, Advance in Racing. It's about it.
Awesome. Well, congratulations once again. We will catch up with you in 2 weeks' time when we take the Porsche Cup Series to Road Atlanta.
Yes, thank you guys. Have a good night.
Your race winner after 18 laps led. We're going to take it to the driver that we saw the battle the most with for the lead between Landry and Phil Bouchard, taking home P2 after 6 laps led. Phil, you've got Logan and Scott Shive up here in the V-Speed booth. You have a copy.
Hello, guys. How are you?
We are doing great. What a show you guys managed to put on up here at the front of the field. We know that you come into this with quite a bit of experience, being a former Porsche Cup Canada champion yourself, and coming in with a whole head of steam. You took the pole And it seemed like you were gotten out quite a bit. I think it was 0.7 of a second on the second lap. And then it was maybe just a little bit of the draft coming into play there for Landry to close that gap up. Or were you making any small mistakes that, might have caught you off guard at all through the first portion of this race?
I think the first portion I was just trying to take care of the tires because I know it was going to be an issue later on, and I also wanted to keep like P3 and P4 close by. So if we fought, like they would be maybe trying to pull back Antoni. So that was the strategy, and also tried to see what happened when we were fighting too wide to just know like where he's braking in case we have this fight later on into the race. It was just trying to gather information. And then I started making mistakes. So that's the whole story.
Well, Phil, we're talking about those mistakes. What do you think you could have done differently in the defense of Anthony Landry when it came to him looking for the lead through turn one?
I don't know. It was tight. He had a good exit. I took, I think that the third curb wrong. So I did get like a really bad exit compared to him. So then I was behind and it was hard for me to catch up into 6 and 7. And then again, like I was just trying to follow and gather new opportunities, but he had really great pace. So it was hard to catch.
Now, once we got to about the last 10 minutes of this race, we had our first opportunity to see some of the lap traffic starting to get involved with positioning. Now, was there anything in that moment once you guys started to work up to the back half of the field that you might look back and say, I would do this differently, or maybe change the strategy just enough? Do you think that you have a chance to catch back up to Landry there at the last 2 laps of the race?
Yeah, obviously, I think you never really know what's going to happen when you get into traffic. So the strategy was trying to do the right decision. Of course, it happens really fast, so you have to be sharp and make sure that you're on it. I think for both of us, like we had good opportunities, and then sometimes we lost time into traffic, so it kind of evened out throughout the last part of the race.
Well, a fantastic race that you still put on for us here today in the season opener of the Porsche Cup Sprint Series. Is there anybody that you'd like to say thanks to or shout out that might be watching at home?
Absolutely. Well, first off, thanks. Congrats to Antoni and Patrick for the podium, and also just want to do a quick shout out to all the advanced sim racing guys.
Awesome. Well, thank you for your time, Phil. We'll catch up with you throughout the rest of the season.
All right. See you guys. Thanks.
That'll leave us with our third place finisher. We are going to catch up with the 124 of Patrick Archambault. Patrick, it's Logan and Scott here in the V-Speed booth. You have a copy.
Yes. How's it going, guys?
Going great up here. A fantastic battle that you had with the 91 of Alex Vince. Obviously, we saw Vince make a small mistake that kind of set him back in the field. And you kept yourself competitive up here in the top 3 the entire time throughout this 40-minute race. Were there any moments here tonight that you could look back on and think that, it was going your way, maybe it wasn't going your way? What are some inside looks from the driver's seat of the 124 here today?
I think I got a little bit of both, to be honest. I was expecting a smoother start to the race, so I got attacked in T1 and then had to defend a little bit. So we lost the lead pack quite early in the race, and after that, it was kind of catch up with Alex, and so that was my first bad luck, I would say. And then I struck a little bit of luck when I was able to catch up to Alex and pass him on before the chicane. So yeah, and then unfortunately he lost it behind me. So from then on, I could stop looking back in my mirror and look up front and try to catch up with the 2 guys in front that had an amazing pace, by the way. So it was all steam ahead, and I was trying to stay focused and just try to catch up. And it was kind of going my way, and I was catching up a little bit, and then we caught up at the end of the race we were lapping cars, so got caught up in the pack, and then it was all over from there. I knew P3 was going to be for me, and I had to accept it. So here I am.
Patrick, before y'all got into that lap traffic in the waning couple of laps, the gap was about 1.2 seconds for you, so you weren't terribly far behind Bouchard and Landry by any means. But obviously, earlier when you and Alex were in the mix, y'all were a 4-car pack, a 4-car lead breakaway. What went on through the race? Do you think it was tire wear? What set you back from those top two in those later stages of the race?
I gotta say, I wish I could blame it on the tires, but at this point, I think I just got to say that they had more pace than I did. I was giving it all I got, and
That's an honest man.
I had some corners that I was able to catch up, but then some corners to this day, I still not sure I'm taking them the right way. So I got to work a little bit on that, and they set the bar pretty high for the next races. So it is what it is. I'll take P3. I'm more than happy. I was aiming for a top 10. So listen, guys, this is a good night for me.
Well, you're still going to come away with the second fastest lap time of the event. So your pace isn't far off by any means, Patrick. Congratulations on P3 in the season opener. Is there anybody that you would like to say thanks to or shout out that might be watching at home?
Sure. Shout out to the family, girlfriend, and my teammate David, who finished right behind me, P4, and our sponsors, Unitronic and NOX Gaming.
Awesome. Well, thank you for your time, and we'll catch up with you in 2 weeks' time when we take the series to Road Atlanta.
Hopefully talk to you guys again.
Well, Scott, that's going to round out our podium finishers and interviews with them. It's been a very eventful afternoon here, and it's been a fantastic place to be a part of here. Looking forward to the rest of the season. I'm glad that you were able to join us up here in the booth for the season opener. Of course, thanks to the partnership with NOX Gaming and Wolf Sim Racing. Don't forget to check them out in the video description below. You can get all of your sim racing needs from NOX Gaming. And if you need a little bit extra help on the track, that's where you check out Wolf Sim Racing. It's been a fantastic afternoon. We hope you all enjoyed the show. Thank you for tuning in and watching this season opener of the Simu Nation Porsche Sprint Cup Series here with us today. For everybody behind the scenes of Simu Nation and everybody behind the scenes at V-Speed, I've been Logan Threlkeld with Scott Shive alongside me for our co-commentary, and of course, Sagar Bakshi on the production truck. We hope you all have a fantastic rest of your afternoon. We look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks' time for round number 2